Oh, they're all so beautiful. Infinite nerdgasm achieved. Oh my god. Right on, guys. So I wanted to take just a few minutes to talk to you guys about the Mezco 112 Collective Toy Fair reveals from this year. They just released them. Mezco released a lot of reveals from Toy Fair, but as I am a 112 collector, we're going to talk about the Mezco 112 Collective line that they put out. And just the ones that they put out is more than enough for us to talk about here for just a minute. So, before we dive into that, your friendly neighborhood nerd scum here, and if you enjoy this kind of content, then make sure to like, share, and subscribe so you can check out all the dope stuff I've got coming out in the future. Now, without any further ado, let's dive into these bad boys. Right on, guys, so the way we're going to do this is I'm going to go through them and save my 3 favorites for very last. But let's go ahead and just dive right in. So, first off, they did a reveal of a classic-style Superman, which we have gotten from Mezco before. However, it was early on in the Mezco 112 Collective line, and the bucks they were using were not quite as sophisticated, and even the cloth goods were not quite where they are now. What's beautiful about this one is not only do we get a larger, cleaner shield, like logo symbol on him, but the best part about it is that they've now fixed the problem that they seem to have been having for such a long time with characters who wear trunks. Every version before this current lineup, pretty much any character wearing trunks looked like they were wearing a colorful diaper. But now, both with this Superman and with another one we're going to talk about in a minute, the trunks look like trunks. Now, I'm probably not going to be getting the Superman, but it is a beautiful looking figure. The head sculpt is very stern, and that's really interesting. And even with the couple of photos that they have released, we can see that there are multiple head sculpts, and one of them is smiling, but even on the smiling one, it looks a little bit hardened for Superman. So that's interesting, but for people who want variety, this is variety for you. Alright, so moving on to the next one, we have Michael Myers from Halloween 2. Now again, we've already got a Michael Myers before, but we have not had him from Halloween 2, and this gives people who didn't get a chance to pick up the first one a chance to get a Michael Myers, as the costumes and the figures themselves are relatively similar, but we now do get the mask from the end that has the bloody eyes, the I only have eyes for you mask, after they get shot out, and that is really dope. Next, and I've only seen one image of this, is they're doing a Fantastic Four set. Now I imagine that these are going to be like the Ghostbusters, where they're going to be released in a 4-pack and you will have to buy all of them, but these are absolutely gorgeous, and the fact that not long ago, whenever they put out the first wave of Fantastic Four figures from the Marvel Legends line, and you basically, if you wanted to get a Ben Grimm the Thing, you had to go on eBay and pay $75 for it from a scalper. The value of these is absolutely superior and worth the money that you're putting into it. Out of my entire Mezco 112 collective line, my Ghostbusters 4-pack is one of my favorite things, not just because they're Ghostbusters, but because the 4-pack itself is packaged so well, and the figures complement each other just absolutely perfectly. And up next, he's the best at what he does, but what he does isn't very nice, but this figure is nice. We're getting another Jim Lee style yellow and blue Wolverine, and much like the Superman that I mentioned before, this one seems to be on an updated buck with better articulation, which also will cause less wear and tear on the costume, and the costume itself definitely has like some slight alterations, specifically the trunks, which again, he no longer looks like he's wearing a blue diaper, he looks like he's wearing trunks. Moving right along, we have these awesome figures from Conquest of Planet of the Apes. It looks like we're going to be getting a Caesar as well as some of the gorillas in their jumpsuits with the machine guns. And again, like a while back, we got a Dr. Zaius, which is really cool, and it's nice to have these figures that can kind of go in that line, even though they don't really go together. I would really love it if in the future they produced more figures from the original movie so that you could really have more interaction between them, but nevertheless, these are absolutely beautiful, and for any Planet of the Apes fan or any sci-fi fan, I think these are going to be a must-have. So after that, we got a Spider-Gwen figure, which looks really cool. To be honest, it's probably the one out of this entire announcement line that I'm the least excited about, not necessarily because I have a problem with Spider-Gwen or dislike that character, but more so because the Mezco 112 Collective Spider figures have been very hit or miss. The only one that I personally own is from Far From Home, and it's a pretty good figure, even though with the costumes that they have him in, like the cloth good stuff, you can't really get him into all the poses you'd like to get a Spider-Man into, and you have to be really careful because those costumes on that character, when you really try to push them into those poses, you're definitely going to get damaged on the cloth goods. Again, Spider-Gwen's a awesome character, and this figure looks amazing, but just doesn't really do it for me. But I know there are some people out there who are going to be absolutely dying for this figure. And after that, we've got a really nice looking G.I. Joe Despero figure. It comes with two different heads with different expressions. One is very stern, like angry battle face, and the other is like a crazy smiling grin. And you know, this is another one of those where I'm not even really that big a G.I. Joe fan. I don't collect G.I. Joe figures, but if there was a G.I. Joe figure that I would get, it would most likely be this one, just because of how awesome it is, despite the fact that it's going to be an $80 figure from a show that I don't really collect things from, so I probably won't get it, but it looks absolutely awesome, and their reuse of some of the costuming bits off of characters like Deathstroke and Morbius is very, very well done. I mean, every toy line does this where they mix and match and reuse parts, and obviously with Mezco they're going to be no different. A lot of the Rumble Society figures that we get are basically just kit bashes of the various other figures that they've put out, but they did an excellent job with this, and I think that G.I. Joe fans are definitely going to want to grab one of these guys. Alright guys, so right now we're going to talk for just a second about Tommy Oliver, the Green Mighty Morphin Power Ranger. Holy crap. Now, as I was just saying about the Ultraman figure, the Power Ranger line, especially in the new Lightning Collection, is one of those where they're going for a screen-accurate depiction of the characters, even though because of their quality control, that's not always necessarily the case. But I find that in Power Rangers specifically, while I'm enjoying the Lightning Collection, I actually kind of prefer the Legacy Collection, where the figures are a little bit more muscular and a little bit more filled out, and they almost look more like they do in the comic books or something of that nature, just because they are superheroes. And I find that, like, while I really love the show for everything it is, and I don't necessarily want them to update the costumes in a way that would remove this, like, you know, on a figure, whenever I'm trying to do cool stuff with them and photographs, I don't necessarily want this, like, sculpted wrinkling of the costume, because it doesn't really move in a way that's organic to the poses that you're moving it in. But with Power Rangers, doing a cloth goods version is the ultimate screen-accurate depiction of that character. And of course, with Tommy, we have, you know, his dragon dagger, and it appears we're going to get his sword, and the shield looks beautiful. Like, everything about this figure is just absolutely perfect, and I need it so freaking badly. Needs it. So, after that, we have a really, really awesome looking classic Ultraman figure. Oh, dude, like, I will mention this with another figure, because after this we're going to move into my top 3 that I'm most excited about. But there is a certain type of character, specifically from Sentai, where here recently we've been seeing a lot of companies trying to do a more screen-accurate version of them. But because of the fact that a lot of times they're wearing spandex clothes in the shows, like a plastic representation of that, while it looks accurate, isn't really what I want. A lot of times I want something that's a little bit more stylized, or with Ultraman I tend to like figures that are kind of one of the more updated versions where he's a little bit more armored. However, if you're going for a classic Ultraman, doing a cloth good version of that character is absolutely the way to go if you want a screen authentic look for that character. Yes, it's going to have all of the kind of creases and folds that you get out of fabric, but that's what we're looking for screen accurate for that character. So it is absolutely awesome, and I definitely need to grab one of those guys so I can put him up against the figure we're going to be talking about next. Alright, so number 2 out of the figures that I'm most excited about in this announcement is Eric Draven, yes, Eric Draven the Crow from the movie, not just Eric from the book, which I really want them to do a version of also, because no one ever does that version. They all do the movie because it's more popular, you're going to sell more figures, I get it. But this figure is absolutely dope. I love The Crow, it's my absolute favorite graphic novel, and the movie is freaking awesome. And so yeah, I'm definitely excited about this. Like, the cloth goods look absolutely dope and amazing. Again, it's an excellent reuse of some of the previous pieces they had from figures like the Blade figure, but when you put them all together on this character, it looks absolutely dope. And I definitely need to get one to complement my custom-made the Crow Mezco 112 collective figure, which, by the way, if you're interested in seeing more about this guy, I have a tag popping up right now. And yeah, I need this new movie Eric Draven to go next to this guy. Absolutely. Alright, so last but absolutely not least, the figure that I'm the most excited about from this announcement is they're going to be doing a Gotham by Gaslight Batman. Hell yeah! Out of like all the alternate versions of Batman that exist out there, my two favorites have to be Batman Beyond and Gotham by Gaslight Batman. It's an awesome book. It gives you everything you need out of an Elseworld story, straight to the point. There's also a really great animated movie that changes stuff from the book, but in a way that keeps the story fresh so that you're surprised if you've read it. The design is great, but this figure is just absolutely dope. It's very, very simple in a lot of ways, but I think that's what makes it so awesome, and the fact that they are trying to do something that is as accurate to the design in the book as they are really makes me happy, because this is a figure that it's a steampunk Batman. They easily could have added a bunch of bells and whistles and all these new little design elements that Mezco is kind of known for in their interpretations of these kind of characters, but they kind of sustained from that and, you know, kind of pump the brakes on it, and pretty much are giving us not an absolutely perfect, but a very good representation of this character from the book, and it is just fantastic. I can't wait to see the rest of the stuff that's going to come with this in terms of accessories. You know, he's got this awesome, like, steam grapple gun or something like that in the book and in the movie, so I cannot wait to see what else is coming with this dude. I'm so excited. All these figures look absolutely amazing, and like most of them are things that I would like for my collection. You know, basically Mezco. I will sell my blood, I'll sell my plasma, I will sell my semen, I will sell my soul. I'm gonna do whatever I have to do to get some of these figures. Hell yeah. Now, while all these figures are really exciting and there's kind of something for everybody, especially because, like, out of all of the Toy Fair reveals for Mezco's 112 collective line, this is definitely the largest and most diverse grouping of characters that I've seen them put out. It looks like they're really stretching their legs now that they've kind of fallen into their groove, and they're starting to get a lot more attention, and there's a lot more people collecting them, and that's absolutely awesome. One thing, however, I do want to admit, because I know at some point it's going to happen, it's going to piss people off. If you look down at the bottom of most of these images, there's something that says, you know, like they're waiting for licensing approval on the character. Now, the Green Ranger does not have that on that, and I think there were one or two others that didn't have that on it. But Gotham by Gaslight Batman, Superman, several of them have that down there. So toy collectors, like, once we see something revealed at a toy fair, we assume that it's already in the works and that it's coming out and we're going to get it. But it's one of those things where, like, a lot of figures that get shown off at Toy Fair end up not actually making it into production, so there is a chance that some of these might not come out, and some people will be disappointed, and that sucks. But again, as Mezco has been doing so well, and they've started branching out and doing their own characters and creating their own universe, it really feels like they're in a stable place, and they have a really good working relationship with a lot of these companies. So let's all keep our fingers crossed that we're actually going to get all of these figures, because if we do, it would set an amazing precedent for Mezco 112 Collective that I think could only go further in the future. We could get, you know, the entire line of Power Rangers, which would be absolutely awesome, and maybe not just the Mighty Morphin, maybe, you know, we could get Power Rangers from other lines, which, again, like, if you're wanting to do screen-accurate versions of these characters, cloth goods is the way to go. The Lightning Collection is amazing for what it is, despite the quality control problems, but, you know, in general, the sculpts are good. They definitely look like the on-screen versions of the characters. But as I said before, there's always going to be something missing in those figures because you don't actually have a cloth goods suit that can react to the body of the figure the way that the ones do in the show. You know, same with, like, you know, we're getting this version of Batman. I'd love to get other Elseworld figures, you know, from other Elseworld stories. That would be absolutely great too. A Green Lantern Batman, like, that would be dope. But yeah, All this looks absolutely amazing. I'm going to do what I have to do to get a lot of these figures because some of them are just absolutely must for my collection. Let me know down in the comments below what's your favorite, like which is the one that you will crawl over broken glass to get, and which is your least favorite. For me, again, it was Spider-Gwen, or maybe the Destro. Like, they're both really solid figures, but for me, they just don't really do it. They're not really things that I collect. So yeah, let me know right down there. What's your favorite? What's your least favorite? Right on, guys. Thank you very much for watching. I hope you're as excited about these figures as I am, and I know I said it earlier in the video, but if you enjoyed this video, then please leave a like, share it with your friends so that they can check it out, and subscribe so you check out all the dope content I'll have coming out in the future. Once again, thank you very much, children of the screen. Hope y'all have a good one. Nerd Scum. Out.